Howdy from the Flying W Ranch in Colorado Springs, Colorado. You're about to see a live video of the Flying W Wranglers. The Wranglers have been entertaining at the Flying W in one form or another since 1953. In addition, after the live show, you'll be seeing a special 35mm song video of an original song, Rider on the Range. If you've never been to the ranch, we'd like to make this an official invitation for you to do so. We're open 7 nights a week in the summertime. We have an old western town with 14 different museum buildings and gift shops. We serve up delicious barbecue beef or chicken suppers, and after dinner, we put on our western stage show. In the winter, except for January and February, the fun continues in our winter steakhouse where you can enjoy a fancy cloth napkin sit-down dinner. Of course, we always include our western show after every dinner, even in the wintertime. In fact, the winter steakhouse is where this video was recorded. So sit back and relax. We hope you enjoy the show. The Wranglers are coming on stage now.
2, 3, 4.
Up in the morning at the break of day, you'll hear a big-bearded cowboy at the chuck wagon say, "Gather on board, the coffee's hot on the fire. There's a new day of rain, the heat in the eyes. I want to smell that scorched air and burning hide. Houses of green boys are ready to ride. Roll up your bedrolls and jump in your boots.
Daylight is wasting, boys, it's out of the chutes. Come on and ride, cowboy, ride. Roll up your Yetis and put your sombrero downtown. We're gonna ride, ride, ride where the trail will wind. You better drive, 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 or we'll leave you behind. Come on and ride, 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 cowboy, ride. Well, it's a beautiful morning, you've had a good rest. You rovers get ready to be at your best. Saddle them ponies and tighten your cinch. Pull up your gloves and take your hat off the fence. We'll get the cattle to market, and after they're sold, you get on, let your hair down, get lazy and bold. Riding in town and find a lady or two. She'll take you by the arm and shake the dust off your boots. Come on and ride, cowboy, ride. Roll up your Yetis and pull your sombrero down tight. We're gonna ride, ride, ride where the trail will wind. You better drive, 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 or we'll leave you behind. Come on and ride, 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 cowboy, ride, 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 ride.
Howdy, howdy, I tell you what, we got a lot of friends here in the crowd tonight, and I'm so excited to have each and every one of you here. And I want to start the evening off by bragging on my good friend over here on the
Hey, you
right.
know, Vern, I thought maybe I'd just brag on myself a little bit, because I didn't tell you fellers today that just today I hit the big time.
What are you lying to these nice folks about?
Well, it's true. I got me a big old record deal. Just me by myself.
You're talking about without the rest of us Wranglers?
That's good deal too. Capitol Records, you heard of them, hadn't you?
Well, certainly I've heard of Capitol Records. I ain't believing
It's a good. You get 6 CDs for a penny. I thought that was all right.
I apologize for him, folks. He is my dear friend, and boy, can he yodel. We're going to show him off with a real neat song. I want you to pay attention. There are 5 different yodel patterns in this song, and not only that, it's an original song.
It's not original. This is the one I wrote.
I should have pointed that out. Here's Wesley with a song he wrote. I know you're going to enjoy it.
1, 2, 3, 4. Green Acres is a... You didn't write that song.
Kind of sounded like it.
Let's try this again. 1, 2, 3, 4.
If we can get him to do it, he really did write it.
Oh, this here tells the story of how the cowboy came to yodel to the dogies, a soothing sound that's strange. So many people ask me, and this is what I tell. It came from deep within them, deep as the deepest well. All those cattle herds were caught by the good cowhand takes heed, cause the slightest sound can stir 'em up and cause a great stampede.
From the yapping of the coyotes to a swift and easy breeze, he sits back in the saddle and puts those cows at ease. Yodelay, yodelo, yo, idly, yodelo.
That's pretty, buddy. That's pretty.
Yodelay, yodelo, yo, idly, yodelo.
Y'all give my buddy Wesley a hand, would you?
All those cowherds were calm, but a good cowhead could see. All the slightest sound would stir him up and cause a great stampede. From the yapping of the coyotes to a swift and easy breeze, he sits back in the saddle and puts those cows at ease. Yodelay, yodely, yo, yodelo, 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 adio, yodelo, adio, yodelo, adio, yodelo, adio, yodelo. Adio, yodelo, adio, yodelo, adio, yodelo, adio, yodelo.
My buddy Wesley D. Amos. Boy, I can tell you. Hey, listen, I got some friends back here shooting video. My good friend Don Ross over yonder, and my little brother Malcolm Thompson right there. They're with Video Local. Give them guys a very big round of applause. They're shooting a little video that we might use around here for some advertisements, or we might even, who knows, we might even print this thing up and sell it. We'll sell you one. You want one? Here's a song that everybody's going to remember. An old cowboy been riding out one dark and windy day. Up on the ridge he rested as he went along his way. When all little ones mighty heard a rut of cows, they saw clouds into that sky. That ugly clouds had drawn. Yippee-yay,
Yippee-yay, Ghost riders in the sky.
the brands stood on fire and the hoofs and deep steel. The horns were black and shiny and the hot breath you could feel. Above the fair went to him as they thundered to the sky. For he saw the riders coming home as the light on hill.
Ghost riders in the sky.
As the rudders looked on by him, he heard them call his name. If you won't save your soul and hell riding on this range.
And cowboy changed your ways to deal with the Judah ride.
Trying to catch the devil's herd across the sky. Every time. Let old Ronnie play one.
Ghost riders in
Play one.
the sky. Ghost riders in the sky.
Get after it, buddy. Smiling Ronnie Cook on the guitar. Give me my hand. Every time.
Every time.
bright as in the sky. Rose as bright as in the sky.
What a neat bunch. How many of y'all have never been here at the Flying W Ranch? Never before? Wow. Oh, for crying out loud. About half of them. I need to do some explaining. You see, folks, believe it or not, you have stumbled upon a real live cowboy band, a Western singing group, but some of y'all could be mixed up, and you need to know it ain't your fault. It's because of this modern terminology. Nowadays, you hear them on the radio, on the television, talking about country Western music. They say it just like that, fellas, country Western music. Really and truly, those are two different kinds of music entirely. We're not a country band at all, but we enjoy those fellas. A country singer will usually sing by himself about somebody else's wife. We cowboy singers, traditional Western singers, we tend to be a little bit more conservative. We usually sing together in a 3 and 4 part harmony.
Yeah, about somebody else's horse.
He's telling the truth. I just lost my childhood hero this summer, Mr. Roy Rogers. What a wonderful influence he was on my life. We need more heroes like that nowadays for our kids and grandkids. We're going to go ahead and give Roy a hand. I know he's listening. I promise he is. We're going to do a little medley of a couple of Roy Rogers songs and one from Gene Autry, who we also lost about 4 weeks ago. I bet you're going to remember all 3 of these songs.
Seething, tumbling down, pledging their love to the ground. Lonely but free I'll be found, drifting along with the tumbling tumbleweed. Cares of the past are behind, nowhere to go but I'll find just where the trail will wind, drifting along with the tumbling tumbleweed. I know one night is gone, that a new world's born and dawn. I keep rolling along, deep in my heart is a song. Here on the range I belong, drifting along with the tumbling tumbleweed, drifting along with the tumbling tumbleweed. I'm back in the saddle again, out where a friend is a friend, where the longhorn cattle feed on that lonely gypsy weed. Back in the saddle again, riding the range once more, toting my old 44, where you sleep out every night and the old love is right. Back in the saddle again, oh, big tie-yo, I'm rocking to and fro. Back in the saddle again, oh, big tie-yo, I go along my way. Back in the saddle again,
Mr. Western.
Yo, lo, lo, yo, lo, yeah. Yo, lo, 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 yeah. Yo, lo, 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 hey, lo, lo, yeah. Yo, lo, lo, yo, lo, lo, yo, lo, lo, hey, lo, lo, yeah. Yo, lo, lo, yo, lo, lo, yo, lo, lo.
Some trails are happy ones, other ones are blue. It's the way you ride the trail that counts. Here's a happy one for you. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds when we're together? Just sing a song and bring the sunny weather. Happy trails to you till we meet again.
Let's these boys play over here. Joe Stevenson on the fiddle. Ronnie Cook on the guitar.
Happy trails to you till we meet again. Till we meet again. Happy trails.
My goodness, that's pretty. Gonna remember both them fellers with a smile. Speaking of smiles, I need to introduce you to this smiley fella here on the left, and apologize. He's in a foul mood. I know you can tell it, and it's kind of embarrassing with the video going on and everything. I'll tell you what happened. This nice bunch over here, we got this church over here, and they're a wonderful bunch, and we fed them over yonder, and there was one steak left over, and me and Scotty went back there, and you can probably tell we like steak, huh?
We devoured that.
We ate that sucker up. Ronnie didn't get a bite, and he's been pouting ever since.
Yeah, and that guy sitting right there still eating is just making me madder.
And the reason that I guess he's so unprofessional about the whole thing is because this is the first time he's ever had a real live music job. Not the best guitar player I've ever heard in my life, but he never done it for a living. Go ahead and give him a round of applause.
Now, folks, I got to be honest. I had a real good daytime job right downtown there at the pantyhose factory.
What?
That's right. I was a diesel fitter. Now, you may be wondering what a diesel fitter is. That's the guy that takes each and every pair off that assembly line, pulls them over his head and says, "Diesel fitter."
I'm not sure we needed that much information, Ronnie. From Fort Collins, Colorado, give Mr. Ronnie Cook a great big round of applause. He's going to burn this guitar up. Here he is with a Dixie breakdown.
there on that doghouse bass.
You know, we got such a nice bunch here, and we got the church over here, Springs Worship Center. Is that right? I'm glad y'all showed. Would y'all mind? Could we do one gospel song? Would it be all right? Now, interestingly enough, this is a cowboy gospel song written by my best friend in the world back here on the drums, Scotty Vaughn. It's real neat. It's about this traveling preacher back in the 1800s. He come up on this bunch of fellers that working the cows. He calls it the circuit riding preacher. He allows me to sing it. We're going to try it for you. It goes like this. He rode into camp one Sunday while the boys were still around. We'd hardly finished breakfast when that preacher man stepped down. The boss said alight and have some coffee, some grub if you were mine. He said no thanks, but could I have a little of the time? He said, I'm a circuit rider and I go from camp to camp. I'm here to feed the hungry and to light the master's lamp, to spread the love of Jesus to those who haven't heard. So gather round you buckaroos and I'll share with you the word. And he sang, what a friend we have in Jesus. He took the Bible out and read John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only son, and he'll save the cowboys too if you believe. As I looked around the wagon, well, I could see in every face, well, that circuit riding preacher had made a church out of that place. And out there on the prairie, underneath the morning sun, I asked Jesus in my heart from a God that never won. And he sang, what a friend we have in Jesus. He took the Bible out and read John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only son, he'll save the cowboys too if you believe. That's what he said. When he rode off that afternoon, I watched till he was gone. And many times I've wondered what range he's riding on, and if there's still the memories when he showed me the way. God knows I won't forget when he rode in the camp that day. And he sang, what friend we have in Jesus. He took the Bible out and read John 3:16. God so loved the world that he gave his only son, he'll save the cowboys too if you believe. Thank you. Thanks for very kind.
Ah, good job there, Vern. Thank you much. Let me introduce the one that wrote that coming up front here now. Been playing the drums. Here he is on the guitar now. Sings all the pretty tenor parts and just so happens to be the oldest living member up here on stage. And
That's right, folks. He might not be over the hill, but he's got a pretty good view.
he's all the way from Joe's, Colorado. Big hand for Mr. Scott Vaughn here, if you would.
Scotty Scotchy.
Been kind of gray in there.
Thank you very, very much. You know, I sure didn't mean to hurt Ronnie's feelings eating that steak. You see, I went on hunting camp with him here a couple weeks ago, and he's the first guy I've met for a long time that can eat as much as I do. Oh, boy. And I'm telling you, when he and I go up camping, the bears hide their food in the trees. we can clean out a forest in a hurry now, I'm telling you. I'm very happy that we got Springs Worship Center with us, too. I think it's neat that y'all fellowship like this and come out in the evening time. I actually grew up in a small non-denominational church out in eastern Colorado.
That's not true.
Well, really, we were Baptists. Yeah, we just waited till we got them in there and then sprung it on to them. It seemed to work out pretty well. We all still, when we go out to eat and stuff, we'll still say grace, and we say grace out here a lot of times. I was thinking when y'all was out to supper tonight, though, remember when we was in Wyoming last year? We was up at a truck stop up there, and they had a special on blueberry walnut pancakes. $3.99 for all you can eat.
Gained 4.5 pounds and more.
I'm telling you, our truck pulled its own self right into the parking lot in there. We got in there and it was real crowded, man. Everybody wanted some of them blueberry walnut pancakes, and this one waitress was running around like a chicken with her head cut off, trying to keep up with everybody, and it had obviously affected her mood. She was just frazzled and in a bad mood. So whenever she come by, I was trying to perk her day up. I took it as my mission that day to try to make her feel better. So I'd say, boy, I sure like your shoes. You got nice shoes. Your hair looks nice this morning.
Yeah, well, it didn't work.
No, it didn't work. She just tried to ignore me. And finally, just before she left, I looked out and I said, you know, this is the nicest restaurant I've ever been in. And she acknowledged me for the first time. She glared at me. And she said, you don't get out much, do you? What I will always remember, though, about being up there is she finally got them pancakes out to us, and she took off to go get somebody else's, and we figured she was paying no attention to us, and so we all bowed our heads to return thanks, and she had seen it because she hollered across the room and said, if you're looking for the walnuts, they're all on the bottom. My prayer to this day is that she'll understand what was going on there someday. This is an old Bob Wills song. It's called The Cherokee Maiden. 1, 2, 3. Moon was bright on a moonlit bay. That is when I found my little Cherokee maid. The memory of that night of love is lingering yet, and I know I never will forget my little Cherokee maid. And I love her so, and though we're far apart, I wouldn't ever be trading my love for her or anybody else's heart. Someday we'll make that trip back to the Cherokee Strip, and I'll carry her away with me. And straight as an arrow flies, we'll fly to paradise, my sweet little chickadee, a little Cherokee maiden and me. My little Cherokee maiden, I love her so, and though we're far apart, I wouldn't ever be trading my love for her or anybody else's heart. Someday we'll make that trip back to the Cherokee Strip, and I'll carry her away with me. And straight as an arrow flies, we'll fly to paradise, my sweet little chickadee, a little Cherokee maiden and me. Thank you very much. We had a request to do this next deal, and I think it's going to be fairly appropriate because when we get up here in the steakhouse, it's a little fancier than it is, as I mentioned, in the summertime down at the Chuck Wagons. And we find that we get a little bit more highly educated groups of folks that come out here than what we're usually used to. And sometimes too much of this cowboy stuff in a row could begin to get on your nerves. So for this next tune, we're going to raise the tone of the evening up 2 or 3 notches. That's good. And I'm going to do an opera song for you. This is a beautiful song. It comes from the opera Carmen. It's entitled, She'll Be Carmen Round the Mountain.
You had to do that. Had to do that with all these nice folks out there.
I couldn't help myself. I have taken up some scholarly pursuits my own self, and it hasn't been easy because the professors at our college here in town have no respect for an academically inclined cowboy. So what I did, I got a disguise where I look like one of them professors. Before I continue, I'm going to don my academic regalia.
Put it on. Folks, he looks almost handsome in this scholarizing outfit. And the amazing thing is it really did work. They had no idea he was a dummy. Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome Professor Vaughn.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Now you recognize me from down the library, don't you? See, I wanted to do this, get back in the good graces of my family. They've been very upset with me. I'm the first generation that didn't go into the family business. Plumbers, every one of them. Truly, until I come along, I could not stand to ride in a company car. Canary yellow, 1959, Rambler, station wagon, with a plunger on the hood. Company motto across the door. In our business, a flush beats a full house.
That's a pretty good motto for him.
I ain't riding in that thing. I do come from a little bit of a dysfunctional family, actually. And, so let me tell you something about it. You see, many, many years ago, when I was just 23, I was married to a widow, and she was as pretty as could be. But now, this widow had a grown-up daughter who had hair of red, and my father fell in love with her. And soon they too were wed. Well, this made my dad my son-in-law. It changed my very life. My daughter was my mother because she was my father's wife. To complicate the matter, even though it brought me joy, why, I soon became the father of a bouncing baby boy. But my little baby, he then became a brother-in-law to Dad. That made him my uncle. It made me very sad. Because if he was my uncle, then he also was a brother to the widow's grown-up daughter, who of course was my stepmother. I'm my own grandpa. I'm my own grandpa. It hadn't been easy. It sounds funny, I know, but it really is so. I'm my own grandpa. What a way to grow up. Well, father's wife then had a son who kept them on the run. And of course, he became my grandchild because he was my daughter's son. My wife is now my mother's mother, and that makes me blue. Because although she is my wife, she's my grandmother too. I'm my own grandpa. I gotta sit on my own knee and tell myself stories.
My own grandpa.
Oh, that'll tear your back.
It sounds funny, I know, but it really is so. I'm my own grandpa.
There's more. Now, if my wife is my grandmother, well, then I'm her grandchild. Every time that I think about this, it nearly drives me wild. Because now I have become the strangest case you ever saw. As the husband of my grandmother, I am my own grandpa. I'm my own grandpa. Just ruins Thanksgiving. I'm
My own grandpa.
over the river and through the
It
woods.
sounds funny, I know,
Where?
it's so.
That was one wasted trip to the library.
Thank you.
It works out. If you listen to it, it works out.
Oh my goodness. Boy, that made my teeth sweat there, I'll tell you. Pretty good.
While he's drying his teeth out, we need to introduce you to him. Wesley is one of my very dearest friends. He's a great bass player and baritone singer. He is all the way from Abilene, Texas. A big hand for Wes Inglis, if you will. He's the athlete in the bunch up here, and the only thing that's weaker on him, some of the rest of us, is his eyes. You wonder what I was going to say right there. Well, he's wearing contact lenses now. He'd been wearing glasses this last while, and he just fitting, and he is struggling with these things. I'm telling you, they're soft contact lenses, and I don't know how he can do it. Anybody else wear soft contact lenses out here? Yeah. Are they supposed to be this big? They must lap over his eyeball 2 or 3 times the way they look. See, I didn't realize that you could hurt yourself on one of those. Have you ever slapped yourself with one? He did. They told him just pinch real gently and it would pull right out. And I was watching him. He told me to watch him, make sure he's doing it right. He got it about halfway out and it slipped out of his finger. That was a bad deal. Have you ever put both of them in the same eye? He thought he was having a stroke last week.
I called 911.
It was terrible. Now, we do need to put his mind at ease, though, because he hadn't slept for about a week. Can you actually lose one inside of your eye? You can? You're not going to sleep for another couple weeks, I guess. So you could have 5 or 6 contact lenses floating around in there all at the same time. It could get bad, buddy. I hate to tell you that. Which one are you going to sing for him tonight?
Well, let's do that cattle call.
Oh, here's an Eddie Arnold song. I love it. It's called The Cattle Call.
Ole, olo, dio, yodelidolo, the cattle are prowling, the coyotes are howling, way out where the doggies bark. Spurs are jingling, the cowboy is singing his lonesome cattle call. Ole, olo, dio, ole, ole, olo, dio, yodelidolo, he rises in the sun till his day's work is done, rounding up cattle each fall. Ole, olo, dio, singing his cattle call. I'll play her, boy. Around as he'll ride on the range far and wide, till the night wind blows up the squall. He's light as a feather in all kinds of weather. He sings his cattle call. Ole, olo, dio, ole, ole, olo, dio, yodelidolo, he's brown as a berry from riding the prairie, and he sings with an old western drawl. Ole, singing his cattle call. Ole, olo, ole, olo, ole, olo, ole, olo, ole, singing his cattle call.
Thank you, Wes. We're going to bring Vern Thompson back up here right now.
Here he comes.
He is the leader of the Flying W Wranglers.
Lead us around.
I think he's got the best Western singing voice anywhere in the world. But I'm a little bit biased because he also happens to be my very, very best friend. Great entertainer and band leader all the way from McGregor, Texas. A big hand for Mr. Vern Thompson.
Hey, Vern. Hey, Vern. Do you know what John the Baptist and Winnie the Pooh have in common?
John the Baptist and
Yeah.
I have no idea.
You don't know? Oh, they got the same middle name.
He's exactly right. Go ahead and give him a round of applause.
I've been thinking about that.
I appreciate you sharing that.
Oh, I like
with us.
sharing my stuff.
Somebody told me, one of you fellers told me we had a request for Don't Fence Me, and we can remember that. We're going to do it. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, give me land, lots of land under starry skies above. Don't fence me in. Let me ride through the wide open spaces that I love. Don't fence me in. Let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me off forever, but I ask you please. Don't fence me in, just turn me loose. Let me straddle my old saddle underneath the western sky. Oh, my cayuse, let me wander over yonder till I see the mountains rise. I want to ride to the ridge where the west commences, gaze at the moon until I lose my senses. Can't look at hobbles and I can't stand fences. Don't fence me in.
Here we go, fellas.
I want to ride to the ridge where the west commences, gaze at the moon until I lose my senses. Can't look at hobbles and I can't stand fences. Don't fence me in.
Wouldn't do that, would you?
Don't fence me in. Don't fence me in.
We have got a brand new album out that we had all kinds of fun putting together. The reason why is it brought back memories from when we were growing up. We call it Real Cowboys. That's REEL Cowboys. And you're right, we Wranglers don't spell all that good, but the reason we call it that is because it's movie and television themes from back in the 50s and 60s. It's got like Maverick and Wyatt Earp and Bonanza and The Lone Ranger, and it's going to have this next song we're going to sing on there. If you are above the age of 35, you're going to remember this song. It came on every week, this television show. The name of the show was Have Gun Will Travel. The name of the star was Richard Boone, and every week Johnny Western would sing this song, The Ballad of Paladin.
Paladin, Paladin, where do you roam? Paladin, Paladin, far, far from home. Our gun will travel with the cart of a man. I died without honor in the savage land. His fast gun for hire, he's a golden wind. A soldier fortunate man called Paladin. Paladin, Paladin, where do you roam? Paladin, Paladin, far, far from home.
Time goes on, Beverly miles. A chestnut of silver is his badge of prize. There are campfires as you lift the breathing stream of the man with the gun, the man called Paladin. Paladin, Paladin, where do you roam? Paladin, Paladin, far, far from home. Far from home. Far from home. Couple of you remember that. We're going to do another song off that album, and this is completely different for the Flying W Wranglers. This is actually an orchestral song that we learned working with the Colorado Springs Symphony Orchestra about 3 years ago. Right in the middle of our show, the concertmaster came out with his violin, and he played this song, and we fell in love with it. It's the first time I'd ever heard it. Joe went home and learned it. I'm telling you, this guy is every bit as good as the concertmaster. This came from the PBS miniseries on the Civil War. Here's Joe with a beautiful song. It's entitled Ashokan Farewell. He plays the fiddle, the mandolin, the guitar, and he sings like a bird. My dear friend from McAdoo, Texas. Give my buddy Joe Stevenson. A great big round of applause.
Thank you.
My favorite fiddle player. Hey, would you sing him one, my friend?
Well, sure. How about Roly Poly?
Hey, let's do an old Bob Wills song.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Roly Poly, eating corn and taters, hungry every minute of the day. Roly Poly, gnawing on a biscuit, long as he can eat it, it's okay. He can eat an apple pie, never even bat an eye. He likes everything from today. Roly Poly, daddy's little fatty. Well, I'll bet he's gonna be a man someday. Roly-poly, scrambled eggs for breakfast, bread and jelly 20 times a day. Roly-poly eats a hearty dinner. It takes lots of strength to run and play. Pulls the weeds and does the chores, runs both ways to all the stores. He works up and out, but time got away. Roly-poly, daddy's little fatty. Well, I'll bet he's gonna be a man someday.
Joe Stevenson. Hey, we're going to show these great musicians off one more time. Joe and Ronnie, you want to make them play a little harder or indeed faster. Here they go with the Orange Blossom Special. Joe Stevenson, Ronnie Cook, Scotty Vaughn, and Wes English. Thank you so very much for being with us tonight. I hope we got you enough to eat, and I hope you enjoyed the cowboy music. On the way out, we're going to have several of our latest albums, and folks, we need the money. Thank you so much once again. Good night. God bless you. There's more. This next piece, Rider on the Range, was produced and directed by our dear friend Wendell Williams, who is a very talented, wonderful man. He produced this video out of his love of true Western music and the Wranglers. Wendell, we appreciate it. Rider on the Range was written by our own Scott Vaughn and Bernie Nelson. Here goes. Hope you enjoy it. I do see what you mean.
You know, boys, that reminds me of a story. Let's listen to it over supper.
Stories told around the campfire late at night that will make a grown man quiver, men that won't run from a fight, and they'll blame the chill for shivers on the warmest summer night. And a rider on the range can be a terrifying sight. The cattle herds are restless when they start the springtime drives, and the younger men are wondering if the stories are all lies. Could you stand and make a fight of it if you saw your life flash by, when the fear of God runs through you and looks you right back in the eye? There's a rider on the range. Lightning's flashing at his heels as he rolls across the plains. His eyes are filled with judgment and his heart is filled with pain. Who is there to stand against a rider on the range? There's some that read the Bibles in the flickering campfire light, and they know a holy rider will come thundering through the night, and he'll reap the trail of havoc all across the prairie wide. And on that Revelation night, there'll be no place to hide. But there's cowboys who would tell you it's all just an old wives' tale, that some folks just ain't brave enough to cut a solitary trail. But when rivers run from bank to bank and the sky is pouring rain, a man who stands alone's a man who's lived his life in vain. 'Cause one night in his bedroll, huddled close against the storm, when a bolt of lightning rips the sky, he'll see the mighty form of a rider on a pale horse, turned a deaf ear to his cries, reared back in the dark with justice burning in his eyes. There's a rider on the range. Lightning's flashing at his heels as he rolls across the plains. His eyes are filled with judgment and his heart is filled with pain. Who is there to stand against the rider? Who is there to stand against the rider? Who is there to stand against the rider on the range?
Whew. Boys, you know, that's almost enough to give you the shivers.
Oh, boy, I'll say.
A little too close to home.